In honor of Tyler Naquin, welcome into the 30th episode of Cleveland Sports Realm. I am Kevin. This is Jerome. Right alongside me, behind the camera, is producer Eric, as always. Jerome, how are we doing this Wednesday evening as we sit down to record?
Well, we're doing all right, man. We're hanging in there, getting through another week. It's hump day, everybody.
Yeah. As we record it is. By the time this drops, we'll be past hump day. But as of right now, it is hump day, and we've got some stuff to talk about, a lot of Indians stuff, a lot of Guardians stuff, I should say, related. I think some stuff we wanted to touch on when it came to the Brown Stadium we had been talking about before the show, and I don't believe anything too much Cavs-wise, but definitely want to jump into those conference finals matchups for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess let's go to the conference finals matchups first, because both could be done with by the time... Well, at least the Western could be done with by the time this releases to the public. Eastern could be wrapped up tomorrow night. Kevin, things both 3-1 series.
Yeah, both are 3-1, and not how I expected. I expected the Thunder to potentially be up 3-1 on the Timberwolves. I was rooting for Anthony Edwards and the gang, though, but looks like it's just going to be too much star power and too much depth from the Oklahoma City Thunder, and then that Knicks-Pacers series isn't going anything like how I expected it to. I thought it would be 3-1, but I thought it would be in favor of the Knicks by this point.
Yeah, dude, it's time that everybody opens their eyes and stops criticizing Indiana as this is not an underdog anymore.
Yeah, I don't think you can rule them an
underdog
anymore.
This is a damn good team that made the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and right now on pace to make the finals. Do I think New York's going to give it away tomorrow night? No, I don't. But I think it's hard not to pick Indiana to win the series when they got 3 games to do so.
Well, yeah, 3-1, and then obviously Game 6 is in Indiana. So they're going to have their shot to potentially win that series in New York. Going to obviously be a very tough environment. I expect that Knicks crowd to be absolutely insane just with the stakes that are at hand in that game. And Indiana's going to have to try to find a way to get that game. If not, I do feel confident with them taking it in Indiana, though.
Yeah, I would think so. I don't think the Knicks are going to give it away at the Garden. I agree with you on that. I could even see the Knicks forcing it to 7, but the problem is...
You think it's going to be too little too late almost?
Yeah, the problem is, man, this guy Tyrese Halliburton's just on a mission right now, and his supporting cast is really showing up. Miles Turner's been a problem for everybody they've played. There's other guys like McConnell create problems off the bench. And Kevin, when you really look at them, they are a complete team with a complete coach, and they're damn good. And I'm not sitting here trying to glaze them up because they did beat our team. But at the same time, I really do think they're that good.
Yeah, I think they're a way better team than what they showed in the regular season, that's for sure. I think this is the second straight year we've seen this Indiana Pacers team step it up come playoff time. And Tyrese Halliburton, we've said it the last few weeks, the last few episodes, I should say, but he's a star. He's an absolute star. I think the overrated stuff is absolutely absurd at this point. And I think when it comes to, I saw something on X today that I liked. I think it might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but they were almost comparing Tyrese Halliburton to Jalen Brunson and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and saying that Tyrese Halliburton plays a more ethical game in terms of not foul baiting. We see the SGAs and the Jalen Brunsons getting what feels like 10 to 15 free throws a game, and we've seen them get 10 to 15 free throws in a game before, and there's Tyrese Halliburton out there, 5 to 7 free throws a game, and I believe he just had a triple-double last night, or at least was right there for a triple-double, ended up falling asleep towards the end of that game, but he absolutely had an amazing performance, and to your point, Jerome, when it comes to the players around him, the Nembirds of the world, the Neesmiths that randomly step up, the Obi Toppins that have come to play against his former team. And, we haven't even mentioned Pascal Siakam yet, and that was their big acquisition last year. And he's been kind of inconsistent in these series, but he's been doing enough. Obviously, they're 1 game away from the NBA Finals.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to the Knicks, I think it's quite the contrary. Just not enough guys stepping up around Brunson.
Yeah.
You could put Towns out there, but then you get nothing on the defensive end. You put Mitchell Robinson out there. The Hacker Robinson's been in full force, although he has been better lately from the line. He's just still so awful.
Well, it's the tale of two centers, kind of what you're saying when it comes to Karl Anthony Towns. You get the offense, not the defense. Robinson, you get the defense and not the offense.
Right, absolutely. So we'll see how that plays out. Switching gears to the West, I'm not really all that surprised. I guess I think I said 6.
Yeah, I believe you did say OKC in 6. I believe I said Timberwolves in 7, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Timberwolves, honestly, Anthony Edwards to me is not doing enough. I think Randall's doing his part. He's really stepped up and played really well. But if you look at this series from a view far away, I mean, the basic thing to conclude, and I'm not going to pretend that I've watched every single minute of it. I've watched games here and there, and I've watched, periods of time here and there. But I just don't see Anthony Edwards doing enough for a guy a lot of folks say is a top 5 player in the game. I don't know about all that. This series has proven otherwise.
Yeah, I was a firm believer that he was cemented in the top 10, and I felt like you could make an argument for him being at 5 maybe. I think he's probably around 6 or 7, and I was hoping that he was going to step his game up this series in particular to prove that he, in my belief before this series, I had said I believed Anthony Edwards was the better basketball player than SGA, and SGA has just completely put that to bed. Anthony Edwards needs to be better. He's the number 1 option in that team. This is your second straight conference finals appearance. You need to be doing more for your ball club.
Yeah, absolutely. And SGA stepped up. I mean, a lot of people criticizing and questioning as to why he won the MVP award. I know it's not a postseason award, but I mean, this guy he's doing it all.
Yeah, he does, great defender, obviously a great offensive player, whether he's inside, outside, mid-range. Obviously, he gets to the free throw line at an unbelievable rate and defends well. He's the entire package, SGA.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, to me, an Oklahoma City, Indiana Pacers finals would be not the sexiest. The league's going to hate it, like from their point of view, because you don't have any of your big markets in it.
Yeah.
But I think from a pure X's and O's basketball point of view, it'd be a hell of a series. The league's going to hate it, but I think the average everyday basketball fan might find enjoyment in this series.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun series. I would hope that it goes at least 6. I could see OKC getting that series done in 5, but we've said that. I've said that for almost each Indiana Pacers series so far, is that they would get beaten 5. Outside, I believe, that Bucks series, I said Bucks in 6. But I've predicted the Pacers to lose each series they've had, and they're looking at, like we just said, they're looking at that finals appearance.
Yeah, based off that alone, I can't project them to lose in any less than 6.
Which I think the last time they were in the finals, that would have been, believe they faced the Lakers in the early 2000s. Was it those Kobe Shaq teams?
I believe.
It's been a while it's been over 20 years then since Indiana fans have been able to watch their team in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, excuse me for the yawn, but I do believe that you are correct. I think, I think that I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but I would be shocked not to see a Thunder Pacers finals at this point. But like I said, I don't think both these teams against their respective opponents currently still need to play well and be able to finish it out because it's not over just yet.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we've seen it before, teams coming back from 3-1. Obviously, it doesn't happen a lot, but it happens when the team that's up 3-1 thinks the series is already over. I think it was, going back, different sport, and we're looking at almost 10 years ago, but I know Jason Kipnis had come out, a few years after the World Series, after the Tribe blew that 3-1 lead, and he basically said after they had won Game 4, they were in the locker room looking at, oh my God, we basically won the World Series. Like we're about to be World Series champs, and I think they took their foot off the gas, and then that's what happens. The other team starts. They see that little opening that they have, and they take advantage. And once you get Game 5, then the momentum shifts in your favor, and you steal Game 6. Then it's like, okay, now all the pressure's on the team that was up 3-1, and they've already basically blown the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. So I completely agree with you. You can't put the cart before the horse. It's something teams are guilty of a lot in sports. You see teams have 3-1 leads, and they may not fully lose it, the series, but they do lose that little mental edge, and you see what happens a lot of times just based off that alone. The team that only does have the one win in a 3-1 series, the team that's on the losing end of that series margin, seems to get Game 5.
Well, they've got nothing to lose, so they're sending everything at the team that's up 3-1, because at that point you truly have nothing to lose. It's the team that's up 3-1 that has everything to lose.
Right, absolutely. Oh, excuse me.
A little tired tonight.
Yeah, has it been a long week? But absolutely. So who knows? Maybe Minnesota gets one down there in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma tonight. I'm going to go ahead and say, though, Oklahoma City, and obviously, we're sitting here talking about this little housekeeping note. Obviously, it will be decided when this is released to you folks in the public tomorrow.
Right.
But I am going to go ahead and say Oklahoma City closes it out tonight.
Yeah, that's going to be my guess as well. I think that's the easy pick, too. OKC back at home. They've got all the momentum in their favor. I think it would be almost a miracle for the T-Wolves in order to pull this off. But we've seen it happen before. Cavs 2016, they went in. It almost seemed like they were walking into their own funeral in Game 5. I remember sitting down with my brother at the time, and we almost had the hands on the cheek, almost just waiting for the series to be over. And by end of the first quarter, we're in it. End of the second quarter, in it. Halftime, things like that. Cavs ended up pulling that one out. And then, like we just mentioned, a couple minutes ago, all the momentum at that point was in the favor of the Cavs. So if the Timberwolves can get this done tonight, we would be looking at a very interesting series with that going back to Minnesota.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. All right, well, let's shift gears here, Kevin.
Okay.
I'll let you pick the next topic. Would you like to go guards or would you like to go Brown Stadium?
Let's go Brown Stadium. I know you had said that some news had come out today about it. I have yet to see it, so I'd love to hear it live on the CSR.
So what's the latest here, and I have it in front of me, is the federal lawsuit arguing Modell law, or Cleveland Browns have updated the federal lawsuit arguing the Modell law is unconstitutional, and they claim it's irrelevant to their plans to move the team to Brook Park, legally speaking. So this literally doesn't change what they're trying to do, which is get the Modell law declared both unconstitutional and irrelevant to their plans. However, it does add a lot more detail to their claim, including citing the team's year-long effort and multi-million-dollar investment in lakefront development plans. So the relevant portion reads, and this is all from WKYC Channel 3, just to cite our sources here, and I have it in front of me because I want to make sure I get the quotes right here. Obviously, when talking about legal proceedings, you don't want to paraphrase anything.
Correct.
So, at the request, quote, at the request of the city and its then mayor, Frank Jackson, the Browns spent 4 years and several $1 million to produce a comprehensive economic development plan for the city's lakefront. Browns owners, and that's the end of the quote, Browns owners and
Jimmy and D.
Yes, thank you. Argue the city failed to act on saying development plans, including the following in the lawsuit, quote, faced with the city's failure to make progress on a plan to fund and execute the infrastructure improvements and other development initiatives necessary to make the lakefront a plausible long-term home for the Browns. The Haslams have identified for a better alternative right here in Cuyahoga County, just over the city limit, end quote. So here we go again. Last week we spent time talking for quite a while about how it seemed it was going to be a go with the mayor's comments. Well, then he kind of stepped those back and said he's still going to fight for the Browns to stay in the city. Kevin, the bottom line is, and I can't say this enough, how does the city not see the lakefront as a plausible place for this place moving forward? We talked about it, what they want to build. It's not just a stadium. It's about all the infrastructure around it. And the lakefront does not offer the
that
Cleveland Browns any of the space or acreage required to do so.
Yeah, because I was going to say, how many acres is it in Brook Park that they purchased?
170.
Yeah, no. It's not happening on the lakefront.
So even if they, hypothetically, let's say they built something at the lake. Well, first of all, that's impossible to me because, again, I think one thing the city continues to glaze over is if you knock down the current stadium, you need 4 years to build the new stadium. Where the hell are the Browns going to play in the interim?
They could play at the Yellow Jacket Stadium in Berea, right down the street from them.
7,000 people. Right? No, I mean, the only place that would seriously be plausible
they might play at the Shoe, maybe.
To move them to the Shoe for 2 years, and that opens a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah, it does. So you're saying, the original thing from the Hasms was that the Art Modell law was, not only was it was two things, it was unconstitutional and irrelevant.
Yes.
Right? I'm going to disagree with the unconstitutional part. I think it's constitutional, but I do think it's irrelevant to what they're trying to do.
Right, because
you're still keeping it in Northeast Ohio. That's
right, and you're 100% right. Sorry to interrupt you. Keep going.
Oh, that's okay. That was all I was going to say.
Okay, all right. But anyway, yeah, you are keeping it in Northeast Ohio. The Modell laws, so you're not going to Baltimore, wherever the hell else
exactly
you're going to go again. St. Louis, I heard, wants an NFL team back. Now, if the Haslams pick the Browns up and move them to St. Louis, sure, the Modell Law to me then becomes in play. But moving them to Brook Park, which is technically by city limits, it's right there because it's in Brook Park, yes, but where the airport is, which is obviously very close to where this new, pleasure palace for the Hasms will be built, that's technically considered still Cleveland, where the airport is. So the Browns can fight back and say, we are right over city limits. We're not, yes, it's not downtown Cleveland.
But it's Cleveland.
It's Cleveland?
Yeah, because I don't believe the Art Modell law says to move them from downtown Cleveland. It's just Cleveland, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so then not to be too lawyery, but like then you're really looking at the fine print on this.
Right, because then you're saying, okay, we're a stone's throw away from Cleveland because this is right by the airport. So
yeah,
to me, the whole thing is it's just frustrating because the city just keeps fighting to keep the Browns there, and that they have not. I mean, it's like, to me, it's like you're fighting for something, but you have no solution for it. So it's just a waste. Like, if they don't build a place in Brook Park, where on God's earth do you plan on building one downtown? Now, I heard something the other day, or read something in the Plain Dealer about how Chris Ronayne says there's property by Progressive Field. First of all, I don't know where that property is. And if there is, that involves tearing down a whole bunch of other crap that you can't.
Well, and this is probably a stupid question and one that I should know, but the Hasms have already purchased the 170 acres, right? It's not contingent on the Browns being there.
No.
That's what I thought.
This land is in their name.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that. Yeah.
Instead of this land is your land, this land is Jimmy and Dee's land.
This land is yours.
Yes. So anyway, yeah, it's their land, and I just don't understand. To me, okay, the city keeps, well, we can't lose, but throughout this entire process that we've been covering this, and we've been covering this on the podcast for a while on the back burner, but now, it's becoming more and more. You're hearing more about it, so we're bringing it more to folks' attention too.
Right, more into focus.
Right, thank you. Yes, more into primetime spot here on the CSR.
That's right.
And to me, throughout this entire, ordeal, if you will, the city has never once offered a good solution to like keeping the Browns in downtown.
No, their only thing was what was the actual solution that they came up with? That they were just going to renovate the current stadium?
Right.
Yeah, which would be under construction for who knows.
And again, we talked about this too, and this was one of our few episode titles way back then. You're just taking the world's biggest tube of lipstick and putting it on the world's biggest hog.
Yeah, I believe it was episode 9.
Yeah. So it's just a waste. It's
yeah.
Because then, as we talked about last week, and I hate to keep rehashing, but you do that place is old as is. You're talking over a quarter century old. Then on top of that, okay, so what's the city going to do? They're going to come with their hat in their hand, intent, because they own that current building. They're going to come with their hat in their hand asking the Browns in about 5 to 10 years, oh, well, this is falling apart. That's falling apart. We need money for this. We need money for that. And the Browns are going to basically look at them and say, told you so. We told you the place wasn't feasible long term, and it isn't. Yeah,
which honestly, it hasn't even been the Browns that have been saying it. It's been just about everybody outside of Mayor Bibb that's been saying that the current stadium's not feasible.
Right. And it's not even, it seems to me the mayor's kind of got over it. The last hurdle is Chris Ronayne, the Cuyahoga County Commissioner, who just will not give it up, Kevin. It's ludicrous at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand. So we'll keep updating you on this. That's the latest on that whole debacle. But again,
it is a debacle too. That's a great term to use for this because it's an absolute debacle between the city and the Browns.
It's been going on for the better part of a year now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when did those renderations, what do they call them? Renderings. I don't know why I was blanking on that word, but when did those renderings actually come out?
Those renderings came out during training camp of last year.
So yeah, a year.
But that's the crazy thing is it's been a year public knowledge. Can you imagine how long
but it seems like that was almost a power play from the Browns though.
Yes.
Of this is what we want to do. and they didn't that they hadn't come to an agreement, obviously, because they still haven't come to an agreement, but they wanted to put something sexy out there for the fan base to say, oh my God, that looks awesome. Could you imagine if we're playing in that? Could you imagine if we're having the big concerts? Could you imagine if we're hosting a Super Bowl? Could you imagine? And just for the city of Cleveland to look like the bad guy. I think that's what the Browns' full intention was in releasing those renderings a year ago.
Yeah, I agree. And I also agree with this. Something that's coming to my mind, and I meant to say it a couple of minutes ago, but it just came back to me. If it's public for, like, hypothetically or, relatively for the better part of a year now, can you imagine how long
I know.
things have been going on behind closed doors between Jimmy and D and the city of Cleveland?
Well, and now I'm starting to think, like, how long did they, like, have this? How long were they actually? I mean, because you said it was, 4 or 5 years that they had been actually talking about this, I think I had read.
Yeah.
That they, for like 4 or 5 years. Can you think of another instance in where a team has come out and said, look at this sexy new thing we want to give you without the city's approval? I can't think of one, and maybe that's because I'm not fully invested in the other 31 markets of the NFL or the other 29 markets of the MLB, 29 markets of NBA, etc. But I can't think of ever seeing a team do that without the city's permission of actually building that said project.
Well, I could think of several.
Okay.
And the only reason I think I say that is because I've always kind of followed the business side of this sport, a little bit.
Yeah.
One that absolutely comes to mind is the Oakland A's. They released more renderings than I have hairs in my head.
Okay, yeah, I honestly wouldn't remember that too much.
Because they have been trying to get out of the Coliseum since practically probably me, you, and Derek were born. Producer Derek, of course.
Right.
They had rendering after rendering after rendering, and it all resulted in them leaving the Oakland Coliseum for a minor league ballpark they play in. And we'll get to see that firsthand in a couple of weeks because we're not or on TV, I should say, because the Guardians play the A's in Sacramento in a couple of weeks up the calendar here. But
yep.
The A's, absolutely. I remember city of St. Louis releasing renderings when the Rams left. It was the city that released them, and then the Rams said, well...
Oh, so it was the inverse.
Way, yeah. Those are two that come to mind.
And those are two, I would say those are two relatively recent. I should say within the last 10 years we've seen that.
Well, the A's one's the most interesting to me of all time because, you've had the city of Oakland has now lost all 3 sports teams. And to lose your baseball team to minor league, and that was like on the owner too. He professed to put all this money forward, and he didn't. That's John Fisher I speak of, the A's owner. Versus, at least Jimmy Haslam, he's saying, hey, we want some public money, but, hey, we're still going to foot some of the bill here. We're not asking you to foot the bill for everything, And that's where the problem is.
Yeah, but we've taken that other stance on that of where if the Haslams are receiving all of the profit, they should be putting 100% of the investment.
I agree.
So we were on we've talked about the opposite side of that.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree with that. But what I also, at least, some owners, look at Buffalo. They're building a new Bills stadium. 80% of that stadium is going to fall on the taxpayers in New York. The Pagolas, the folks who own the Bills are hardly putting any money into that. At least Jimmy's going to put some money into it. Now, should I think it should be more? Absolutely. But I don't think it's going to happen that way.
Yeah, I don't either.
But it's something to be interesting to follow here because
we've been following it. I feel like we've been one of the better sources in terms of actually following this content. And I'm going to give 100% of the credit to my great co-host here for filling everybody in on it, because when he's filling you in on it, he's also filling me in on it, because I haven't been that great in keeping up with it.
Well, I'm actually going to give my dad credit because he's followed this issue very, very close, and
we thank Mike for the comments too.
Absolutely.
He always leaves great comments on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, he has been keeping me filled in all the time and sending me stuff on it, saying, hey, this would be a talking point for the podcast about the stadium. And, I think some places are getting, like the Galax from Fox 8 have been all over it. They're investigative reporters. Daryl Ryder's been all over it, but a lot of people are pushing it to the back burner. But I mean,
I've been one of those. I'm sorry,
but that's okay. But it's something that does have to be, I think, evaluated and as things.
It's absolutely got to be discussed. Especially this is the Cleveland sports realm here. We got to talk about what's going on in Cleveland sports,
and we need a place for our Cleveland sports teams to play.
Exactly.
So,
outside of Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse and Progressive Field, we need them to be playing somewhere else as well.
Right. So, all right. Well, speaking of Progressive Field, I think that's a good transition. Let's talk Guardians.
Let's do it.
And
we were at the game on Memorial Day.
We were at the game on Memorial Day, but before that, because that was not fun.
No, it wasn't. Well, it was a fun game.
It was a fun night, but it was a fun night hanging out with the friends. Another loyal CSR listener, Philly Ann, and his dad is Philly Ann and Philly Ann.
Yeah, Philly Ann the second and third.
Yeah. But before we get to that, and your sister as well, Dana.
Yeah, we did meet a few people down there.
Absolutely. But before we get to that.
And her boyfriend, Josh.
Yes, Josh.
He's a loyal listener, so I had to come.
Yeah, good man. So before we get to that, let's talk about them going up to the Motor City and taking 3 out of 4. Did not see it coming at all. We sat here last week and we're hoping for a split.
That was the most important. You've said it before, and I'll give you credit for it, but I'm going to say it on the air. That was the most important series of the season so far, and they came to play for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And they went up there, took 3 out of 4, and the Tigers just seemed to have a mental block with the Guardians, man. Like, it's like we compared it to like 2003 to like 2015 Browns Steelers.
100%.
When the Tigers, when they see that blue and red cap and those white or gray or red jerseys, man, it just all comes falling apart at the seams. And it's not like the Tigers are how they used to be and just flat out stink. You're talking about a Tigers team that had the best record in the American League.
They're 5 games up on us right now, are they not?
Right.
Still?
6.
6 now. And we just had a big win over the Dodgers today as we record.
Yes, absolutely.
Which, speaking of, we talked about the Tribe going 3 of 4 in Detroit. How about 3 for 3 Nolan Jones today?
Unbelievable
performance.
Unbelievable.
My breakout player of the year, finally breaking out in game, 60?
Yeah, breaking out a quarter of the way through the thing.
Actually, I do want to see what game it is.
Third of the way through it.
Yeah, 55.
Yeah.
It was close.
So, anyway, they do take 3 out of 4 from the Tigers, which they was wonderful. And, I'm not going to criticize them by any means for not sweeping. They had to go against Scooball on Sunday.
Yep.
And we know how that goes. 2 things, though, big picture. Carlos Santana's bat's been heating up. I think he's close to hitting in the right around 250 now, I believe. And shout out to Angel Martinez, who's just been consistent.
Yep.
And then, of course, I mean, how much can we glaze Jose Ramirez? Well, how much we do is never enough. 21-game hit streak.
Yeah.
And
he keeps extending it. Wasn't it 17 when he set it for himself? Was it 17 or 18?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's kept adding on to it. It's been absolutely awesome.
He just passed Jason Kipnis for the longest in Indians back then when Kipnis did it, Indians, and now Guardians, I think since 2016 or 17. So 21-game hit streak, longest of his career. And Kevin, he's hitting 312. And it comes at a time when the ball club absolutely needs it. And listen, what I like about him right now is obviously he always has to carry the load offensively. We know there's no, it's not like, the luxury of Mookie Betts, who has Freddie Freeman behind him and Shohei Ohtani in front of him. Jose Ramirez has Kyle Manzardo behind him and a cast of characters.
Bo Naylor, Nolan Jones, Angel Martinez occasionally batting 2.
Yeah. Right. So I think when you look at that, it makes it all the more impressive. He has a 3-hit game today, 318 average, 898 OPS. I mean, you can't say enough.
No, you can't at all. And Angel Martinez, switching gears a little bit, Angel Martinez, I think, has just solidified himself as an everyday player. I don't know what position he's gonna 100% be at, but he's got to be an everyday player, no matter if we're facing lefties, righties. Obviously a switch hitter. We saw he had a great catch in game 1 of the Dodgers game, Memorial Day. He had a great over the head catch in center field.
Yes.
So his defense is there, his offense is there. Obviously had a great clutch 3-run shot today.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a jack of all trades.
Absolutely.
I'm a huge fan of Angel Martinez.
And he's a good center fielder, and he's a good infielder, too.
Yeah.
And I think, to me, Lane Thomas has had the absolute season from hell, and I think you called that, Kevin.
That was my slump player of the year. I forget what we originally called it, but yeah, that was going to be my most disappointing player of the year. And
right.
I will say a lot of that's due to injury. I mean, his play hasn't been fantastic, but also how many games did he miss?
Right. He missed a lot of games, but even when he's been in there, he's been awful. So he's gone from playing awful to getting hurt to playing awful to now he has plantar flesh. I hope I'm saying it correctly, and some doctor can comment, and correct me in the comments or whatever, but he has plantar fasciitis in his foot now. Okay. And so he's probably going to be on the IL again. And I saw today that the Guardians are interested. If the Orioles keep slumping like this, they are rumored to be interested in Cedric Mullins to play center field.
My goodness, that'd be unbelievable. I did not see that report. That makes me excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love Cedric.
Absolutely. So Cedric Mullins, and I think at that point, then you put on Angel Martinez at center or right, second or right.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I think Cedric Mullins would lock down center for us pretty well.
And then at this point, to me, maybe Martinez at second. Schneeman's still playing pretty well. Arias has cooled, but he pretty much had an awful series against the Tigers, but came back to have a so-so series against the Dodgers in this 3-game series. And to me, if you move on to second, then I think, and I know that he's your boy and he had a 3-hit game today, but if Nolan Jones basically, I think, is got to be close to going down to be a Clipper every day, and I think CJ Kafis is close on the other way to come in to be a Guardian.
Well, that, or I also saw reports of we could potentially see Chase DeLauder at some point soon as well.
Yeah,
is that report true?
I believe so. I mean,
okay,
I think there's got to be some validity to that.
Yeah, because I mean, if he's going to give you, he's another lefty in the lineup still. So I mean, you just swap Nolan Jones for him. You got a lefty right fielder. It's Chase DeLauder's more. He's been playing that position his entire career. Nolan Jones had to make that transition from third to outfield, so it's a more comfortable fit for Chase DeLauder.
Same with Kafis. He just started playing, right? So
because Kafis, he was more of a corner infielder.
Well, yeah, he was a first baseman, I believe, by trade. But no, I agree. There's a lot of different ways they can go, and they're gonna have to figure out something because the offense just hasn't been consistent enough. And it seems to me, outside of really those 4 we just talked about were, Jose, obviously a 21-game hit streak, or Quan has been, but he left the game today too. So that's worrisome. Now Vogt said he'll be all right, but I hope that there could be my doubtful side thinks that's probably just manager speak, but hopefully that Vogt was telling us the truth. He truly will be all right. Obviously Quan, Martinez, and then Santana's been up and down. He's had hot weeks, he's had cold weeks, and so has Manzardo. He's been up and down.
Yeah.
I mean, and then everybody else is just, Schneeman's been pretty consistent about 250, which is, for Daniel Schneeman, it's way better than I would have anticipated.
Well, Manzardo, his stats are they're all pretty decent outside of just the batting average itself, correct?
Right. Yeah, they're not bad. Yeah. But Schneeman now he's at 246. Arias had a hit today. He's at 241. I mean, I don't know. To me, I think it's doing a big Christmas disservice, I should say.
I completely agree with you.
To keep him up here and just have him playing once or twice a week. I mean, first of all, he's hitting 150. He's striking out and still chasing everything, Kevin. I think he ought to go to be a Clipper and just slot him into right if that's what you want him to do and play every day for the Clippers, because this once or twice a week crap ain't going to cut it.
Well, I agree with you on that, man, because like we just mentioned, Chase DeLauder and Kafis are potentially on their way up, and we need their sticks in the lineup. And I mean, can it get worse than the 150 average? I'd be willing to say no. And if it was, what are we looking at, 130, 140? I think it's worth the risk at that point to send Noel down, let him get the at-bats. If maybe he starts swinging a hot bat and maybe the players we bring up, if they're not hitting the ball too well, Noel starts seeing the ball better in Columbus, then we can bring him back up at that point. But yeah, I think right now with where the offense is at, a move's got to be made with Noel going down to Columbus.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Nolan, I mean, he's at 194. I mean, I don't know. To me,
was that after or before the 3-hit performance today?
after.
Okay, yeah, that's what I...
So to me, if DeLauder's here, then I don't really see where Nolan Jones fits because I'm imagining they're both lefty sticks in the outfield. Quan, obviously, that's not an option to go down and let. The only way I see Nolan Jones and DeLauder coexisting on the roster would be if Quan was placed on the injured list.
Well, that, and I don't know if the Tribe would be comfortable if, Jose Ramirez is having a DH day if Nolan goes to third base again. I don't know if they're comfortable with that. It seems like he's been in the outfield the last couple of years almost strictly.
I sincerely doubt it.
So do I.
Based on the fact I don't think Nolan Jones has played third base since like
a few years.
Akron Rubber Duck.
Yeah.
Maybe a little.
Because even at the end of his stint here, before we traded him to Colorado, he was playing outfield in the minors, was he not?
Yeah, I mean he's been a full-time outfielder, and he is, as much as I could criticize, he is a pretty good defensive outfielder.
Well, he's got an absolute cannon for an arm, and and it's not just power that we're looking at. I mean, he gets the ball where it needs to go to in the outfield. Just I just wish he made more contact with the ball, man. Because when he does, it's great. He just doesn't do it nearly enough. Nearly enough. Yeah,
I completely agree. And maybe Nolan Jones won't go based upon the manager's comments today because Stephen Vogt, who I like, and oftentimes I think overmanages.
Oh, he totally does.
I think he totally overmanages. Today was a complete opposite effect of that because you have Austin Hedges come up with runners on base in the 6th and 8th inning.
Yep.
And chose to not pinch hit for him either of those times, and you had Manzardo and Bo on the bench. I know Bo Naylor's not a world beater. He's a hell of a lot better of a hitter than Austin Hedges. I know Kyle Manzardo is not like a superstar. He's a monumentally better hitter than Austin Hedges. And for Vogt, a guy who we've seen pinch hit in the first inning of a playoff game, not to pinch hit Hedges in either of those times, to me was despicable. And not only that, follows it up by double downing on comments to say Hedges a good hitter. What in the hell have you watched?
Well, what do you want him to say?
5 years to dictate that Austin Hedges is not a horrible hitter, the worst hitter in the major leagues.
I'm not saying that they shouldn't have pinch hit for him or anything, but what do you want Stephen Vogt to say right there? Do you want to say, yeah, Hedges is horrendous at hitting, so we kept him in there in a key moment? No, he's going to try to give him. He's going to try to give his players some confidence. And yeah, Austin Hedges is a horrendible. He is a horrendous hitter. I combined horrendous and terrible.
Yeah, I like that.
But
he's such a bad hitter. Kevin created his own word in his own category.
He's a horrendous hitter. And but I was talking about this with a good friend of ours, Landon, at the office today about the veteran presences in the locker room and stuff. And he goes, I know you love having the veteran presence. I hate that excuse. I do still like having Hedgie in there. I think Hedgie's a big reason as to why this team is so bad offensively and is still above 500, 55 games into the year, and potentially looking at, we're over 100 games out from it, but looking at a potential playoff berth again. This is what I was telling you on Memorial Day during the Dodgers game is, everybody freaks out before the season every single year with this team, and then they're either in the mix or they get into the playoffs just about every year.
Well, and I think, where Austin Hedges makes his money is not at the plate. We know that. Sometimes it's behind the plate. But I think where Austin Hedges makes his $4 million that Scott Boras gets him every year somehow, some ways, in that clubhouse. And I do agree with you.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said about this. Statistically, let's look at this team. In 2022, Austin Hedges was here. They went and lost the divisional round to the Yankees. In 2023, Austin Hedges wasn't here. They went 10 games below 500. In 2024, Hedgie was back. They're one of the final 4 left in baseball. In 2025, they're at least, they're 6 back of the division. Right now, as things stand today, they'd still be set, I believe, to get a wild card spot. So there is
You want me to see what they're on pace for? I love my on-pace statistics.
You do. There is something to be said for that. Look.
They're on pace for 88 wins.
Right. So if the playoffs started today, they would hold the top wild card spot because I guess they have tiebreakers over, I don't understand how they do over Houston. And they just have them listed first. I don't know if it's alphabetical order or what. But either way, if the thing started today, they'd be in the playoffs. So if you look at the last 4 years sample size, what's the 1 year that they stunk? It was the year Austin Hedges wasn't here. So I don't know what exactly he does, if he runs around with his shirt off like we've seen him do in the postseason videos, or if he just instills confidence in these younger kids. I don't know exactly what Austin Hedges does, but there's some kind of magic formula you have, and it's something that one of the cheapest teams in baseball is willing to pay $4 million for every year, even though they willingly go into it knowing that on a good year they'll get 150.
Yeah, and even though the numbers aren't there offensively, like the numbers are there when it comes to the wins and losses when he's been a part of the team.
Right, exactly. So I don't know exactly what he does, but I have two things to say about this. Yes. Austin Hedges, I love that as a horrendible hitter.
He is a horrendible hitter.
He's got his own category, and Austin Hedges is going to make a hell of a skipper someday.
Yep, I was just actually going to say he's like undoubtedly going to be a manager at some point, right? Just with the effect he has on that locker room, it truly is amazing. Just his 150 average being in that lineup and this team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. To me, yeah, Hedges is a good hitter. We believe in him. The pitchers got him twice, on tough pitches. Well, listen, Steven, if I could offer you, not that you'll ever listen to my podcast, or Kevin's, I should say, our podcast.
Oh, yeah. Producer Eric's.
Yeah. He's the key cog in the engine here,
That's
man.
right.
No question about it. Not that you're ever going to listen to our podcast, but when you say that the pitcher got the best of him today, newsflash, buddy, that's going to happen about 95% of the time.
It is. We've seen it.
I mean, there's no and I do have to laugh every year. I'll tune into the spring training broadcast. I'll watch a little bit of it every year just because I get so excited and my juices flowing for baseball.
Yeah.
And every year, whether I'm tuning in on the radio or on the television side, I have Matt Underwood or Tom Hamilton telling me that, Austin Hedges is really going to focus on hitting this year. One, great for him. It's not going to change a damn thing. And two, no, he's not. He knows what he's good at, and it ain't hitting.
No. And that's what you're paying him for, though. I mean, he does give you an immaculate glove behind the dish. He gives you a great arm, great accuracy when throwing batters out. We've even seen him make some amazing plays in terms of just like throwing it back to first base if somebody's got too much of a lead and picking them off. Like, he does make some game-changing plays when he's in there defensively.
Absolutely, I agree.
I don't know if it's worth $4 million, but the presence is.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was easily to recap it because they have a day of rest tomorrow when this gets released. The Guardians do. But to recap it real quick, I think in their most brutal 7-game stretch of the season, to come out 4-3 is not bad.
Not at all.
I mean, now they have the Angels at home. I'm looking at it, Kevin. I want 2 out of 3. And I know a lot.
Yeah,
The Angels have been playing better lately. But to me, the Guardians are still a better team. And we lost 2 out of 3 out there. We got to get them back at home now.
Yep, I agree. And just following up based off the Dodgers series that we just finished, it was funny being down there Memorial Day. We got to the standing room in left field, a little bit left of the foul pole, and Shohei steps up into the box, and it was very cool to see Shohei in person. I was very excited for that. In my opinion, the best baseball player, the greatest baseball player of all time. I truly believe that. And first pitch, home run to right field. And I'm not even kidding you when I say everybody in our section just looked at each other and laughed. Like, nobody was mad. Nobody was mad. It was just like, yeah, you got to give. I mean, it's the best player in baseball, and he has been for the last 5 or so years. And I didn't see exactly where that ball was located until after the game. That was a good foot inside off of the plate, and he took him deep.
Deep.
It by no means was a bad pitch by Gavin Williams.
No, not at all. Not at all. So, no, he's incredible, and he as he does against all the other 28 teams besides ours.
Besides us, yeah.
Yeah, he
luckily, we don't get to see him as often as the other, as a lot of the other teams.
Boy, I've come to realize, though, just from watching the Guardians play them and being the big baseball fan I am, that NL West is so damn good, man.
It's absurd.
You got the Padres, who they got the best of us earlier this year. I think they swept us.
Yeah, they did, because they started out the season like 6-0 or something like that. The Padres did.
I believe I don't remember exactly.
Somewhere around
but
there.
It was
Yeah, but
very good.
Yeah.
Now we just got 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers. I mean, like, thank God for the other 4 teams in that division that they have a chance to beat the crap out of the Rockies all the time, because it's not fair the other 3 teams they got to go against.
Yeah,
Speaking of the Dodgers, Padres, Giants, I mean, even the Diamondbacks, like, all 4 of those teams are so damn good.
Solid or elite.
Yep, absolutely. So, and, I'll give the Guardians credit because I think the Giants are a good team. The Tigers just swept them at home. So, that'll be interesting. And one last thing before we transition to odds and ends here about baseball. I just saw that the Angels designated for assignment Tim Anderson today. And I thought Andre Knott had a funny tweet about that because he said, I don't think Tim ain't ever coming back to Cleveland.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And I have to agree with Dre on that one.
I mean, his career just went into a downslide right after that because he was
a damn good ball player.
I was going to say he wasn't elite, but he was a great above average shortstop.
I remember that one year he hit well over 300 the whole year.
Yeah, I think it was like 310, 320.
But now he's given – here's the tale of the two who got into that fight. Now he's got he's being DFA'd by the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, and Jose had 3 hits today for a 21-game hit streak.
Yeah, exactly.
Who got the best of who there and still continues to and will always from this point forward. So
bro.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, all right, well, that was some good Guardians talk there.
Yeah.
And, obviously, at this point moving forward,
it's going to probably center primarily on the Tribe.
We're not going to go crazy with the OTAs. Just not into it too much.
No, I did see a lot of people, I will say Browns related, a lot of people are loving the Shador throws I've seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have.
And I saw Jerry Jeudy said about Amari Cooper.
He said, like, you'll be amazed by the ball that Joe Flacco throws. I forget the exact quote, but it was along those lines, and Jeudy said, I know exactly what Amari's talking about now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like we said, maybe we'll mention a little things about the Browns here and there, but we're not going to go crazy with it. Just no need until maybe we get into training camp. We'll get more back into the Browns. Going to be talking about the Browns off the field, though, a lot, obviously, with the stadium. So, odds and ends for this evening. The Twins, their owners claim that they are making progress on the sale of the club, and their owners want to stick to a $1.7 billion price. So the Twins look for them to be sold here soon.
Okay.
And all I could say to that is if the Twins get some rich owner in there, start spending a lot of money, we got to hope that David Blitzer matches it. It's that simple.
Yeah. I'm not too worried about the spending for the Tribe and when Blitzer takes over, to be honest with you. I think when he takes over as the majority owner, I think we're going to see at least a 150 payroll, I imagine. I really do.
I hope you're right. I really do. And then I saw Tiger Woods' son won his first U.S. Amateur event in golf. So
very cool.
Family tradition carrying on, the 16-year-old Charlie Woods. So look for him to be on the PGA Tour near you soon.
I'm sure he will at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. So
yeah.
That'll just about do it for, I think, this week's show. Kevin, if you want to wrap it up here.
Yeah, absolutely. Please, give us a like, give us a follow. At CLE Sports Realm on TikTok, Twitter or X, Instagram, YouTube at CLE Sports Realm. Please leave us comments. We appreciate the engagement. And as always, I am Kevin. Jerome next to me. I'm going to end the show just how I started it. And producer Eric behind the camera.
All right, everybody. Thanks again. Appreciate all the support. Keep commenting, keep liking, keep subscribing. Have a great night, and go Guards.
Go Tribe.